Hello and welcome to Indie Comic Ninja. I am your host, Dexter Jacobs, and this week we have something a little different than what we have been doing, but it's a little classic if you've been around for a little while with us, because it's the first Tuesday of the month and we're doing an interview instead of a review show. So the reviews are taking a bit of a break. We'll be back next week with those and everyone else in the studio. But this week, it's just me and my good friend Jet Falco. He is a character who has a webcomic called DreamersEcho, and it's a bit of a steampunk fantasy JRPG romp adventure, I might call it. So you can head over to DreamersEcho.com and find out more about that webcomic. But right now, he has a Kickstarter. He is getting the comic printed. It's, I forget how long he said it was, but like a half-inch thick. I remember things in lengths, apparently. So head over to Kickstarter, look up DreamersEcho, or head over to indiecomic.ninja/DreamersEcho. I have a forward set up for you so you can get there as easily as possible. And check out that Kickstarter. As of right now, it is fully funded, so if you back it now, you will get what you ask for, and you will not be disappointed. You can find Jet Falco on pretty much anywhere. If you just on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just look for Jet Falco. As always, you can find us at indiecomic.ninja. You can find us on the social medias, Indie Comic Ninja, pretty much everywhere. Head over to our website and find some more written reviews, find other episodes of the podcast. As always, we're on Patreon as well, patreon.com/IndieComicNinja. Thanks again for listening, and here is Jet Falco.
Hey, how's it going?
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so if you've never heard of Jet Falco, it's probably because you're not from the Midwest, I suppose. I don't know how prolific you are.
Midwest is good.
Okay.
I haven't really stretched my legs
Yeah.
as much as I'd like to as of yet.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, but I guess the thing is you have a webcomic.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, you are worldwide.
Yeah.
Since you're on the World Wide Web.
Guess you could say that.
So I guess first off, let's just tell us about your webcomic, what it is, and then we can go from there.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Dex.
Yeah.
It's an honor. Yeah. All right. So, DreamersEcho is the title of my webcomic, and it's about a world that has been robbed of their abilities to dream. And dreams were pretty powerful back then. They could build, they could create, they could destroy. But all in all, if you use the power right, you could live in harmony with the world, and everything was great. But suddenly, that power gets taken away, and then for 1,000 years, not a dream was had. And 1,000 years later, this kid wakes up from a dream, and it's pretty traumatizing, actually, because it's actually the first nightmare. So he wakes up from the first nightmare, and all these questions arise in his head, and he just has to get out, and he has to chase it and find out what exactly it means.
Yeah, I think like the first time I read your comic, or at least maybe the first time you described it to me, it didn't quite click in my head what it meant, that like nobody has dreamt for 1,000 years. Because then, like when I read like that nightmare sequence, I was just kind of like, yeah, that's scary. I've had some pretty bad nightmares, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why he's reacting the way he's reacting to such just a nightmare. But then, like, yeah, I was I think when you did the Kickstarter and I was like watching your video for it, I was just like, oh wait. No one has had a dream in 1,000 years.
Exactly.
And the first one is like somebody dies.
Yep. It's pretty traumatic.
And it's the dreamer who dies. I mean, that's in the first
Yeah. It's no real spoilers.
I mean, we usually have to give a spoiler or a warning that it's a spoiler podcast, but we're not going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
Because I want people to read your comic.
We'll spoil maybe the tip of the iceberg, but
yeah,
there's still a lot of good stuff left over for you guys to read. So.
Well, and which maybe even gets me, it made me think, I guess, of your inspiration for this. And I think it's what really drew my attention was that it's loosely based, I guess, on JRPGs, at least a lot of the style, for sure, of the illustration style. And But even just kind of the feel of the story, it's very JRPG. And so hopefully in true form with that, you're going to have a lot of twists and turns.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's going to be epic, which it already seems pretty epic with what you have. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know why I'm talking about it. So why don't you speak to, I guess, like what your inspiration being JRPGs, and I know you're into steampunk, and that has something to do with the comic as well. So what is it that has inspired this story for you? Or, that.
Yeah, like you said, JRPGs. For those who don't know what JRPG stand for, it's a Japanese role-playing game similar to the big ones like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, the ones that really, kind of...
Those are the two that matter.
Yeah. Those are the big ones, the big hitters. And, JRPGs were a huge part of the inspiration of DreamersEcho, because when a story is told in classic JRPG style, the character wakes up and a problem arises and he's faced to go fix the problem, and become a hero, hopefully, by the end. But then there's a bunch of twists and turns that happen. He needs to gather a select group of individuals that he can mesh with and that challenge him. So any sort of problems that arise on the way to becoming a hero will bring those twists and turns, but he has his inner party that he can rely on and grow with. So it's a lot like playing a JRPG without all the level grinding and the experience and all that stuff.
You don't have chapters of just level grinding?
Actually, that is one thing I've been planning in the works, is we're going to have like just a funny little parody of a JRPG in one of the chapters where they're facing the typical, level 1 monster.
Yeah.
And they have to face more and more and more and more until they can finally get to the big baddie at the end of the dungeon. It's a classic dungeon crawling chapter.
Yeah. That actually reminds me a lot. Which is maybe why I like your story so much, or at least the idea behind it is a story that I'm writing, and it's been a while since I picked it up.
Oh, awesome.
But it's based off of like old Final Fantasy games. It's kind of trying to explain, and it came from trying to explain like how summons could actually work,
right?
And how
awesome.
like all these things, like things like that, and just how that world could actually work in a real physical way. And part of the story was going to be like, they're just kind of like walking in between towns, and there's just like a rabbit, and like one of the characters he's from our world, and he kind of goes through this like gate of some sort at some point, and so he's just kind of like, oh cool, a rabbit, but he's just like, is that wearing a helmet? And then all of a sudden, like, one of the other guys is like, what? And then he just, like, kills
Cue the battle music.
Yeah, he just, like, kills it. And then next thing you know, he's, like, pilfering through, like, this little tiny bag that the rabbit has. And then, like, the guy from our world is like, what are you doing? And he's like, is that $50?
$50.
Just stuff like that.
Right.
It's like, what was this rabbit doing with money?
That sounds like a great story. That's awesome.
Well, it's not, that's not the main part of the story, but
that's a good element.
But I mean, it's a pretty classic JRPG kind of story where there's like a king who gets overthrown by a guy who doesn't like the king. I'm trying to be really loose here, and not give away my story. But and then once you kill him, it turns out that he was a puppet. Oh crap! Now I just gave it away. I'm just kidding. I mean, I didn't. But I mean, if you ever played Final Fantasy, that's how Final Fantasy works.
Yeah, they stick to a lot of the similar formulas. Yeah,
you're at the end of like the first disc, and you're like, wait, I'm fighting the boss already? This doesn't... Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah, there it is. You got to plant the seed, just so like whenever it comes back up, the reoccurring theme of the boss, like you want to connect with him. So that's good.
Well, and if you're not if you're not like older than 30, which I don't know how old you are, but
close enough.
Yeah, maybe 28. I'll say maybe 25. Depends on how. Anyway,
you said it.
Video games used to come on discs,
right?
And before that, they were cartridges. But when they were discs specifically, they were usually like 3 or 4 for for the RPGs.
Especially Final Fantasy. 4 discs.
Actually, I imagine everyone who listens to us is probably around that age range.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. Maybe not. I hope it's the gamut.
The little kids are listening. They feel bad for us.
Yeah.
They just download their stuff.
You don't have Steam?
Yeah.
When did Steam start? And then there's me. He's like, so can I get a Steam console?
Which I think is a thing.
Do, yeah. It's Steam box, or you can build your own pretty easily, I'm told.
Oh, nice. I
didn't
know that.
Well, it's basically you're just building a computer
right.
that only runs Steam.
Oh, yeah.
Or like that's the only program you have installed.
I've heard they try and run the price close to like buying a PS4 used. So it's like $400. So
yeah. And if anyone actually knows what we're talking about, please don't tell us because it's unnecessary. This is a comic book podcast.
That's right.
So anyway, so why don't we get into your Kickstarter, because I think the interesting thing to me, kind of going off of this whole conversation about the video games, is that you have a soundtrack for it, and you have a special term that you coined for this. And what is it?
Sound comic.
Sound comic.
It's really it's really what's complicated. Yeah, it's very complicated. Where you just take the sound from soundtrack and the comic from comic. You just put those together.
See, okay. I was wondering if maybe you had to hire some higher level thinker.
Oh, I'm not going to give my secrets away.
Like had to get a think tank for that or something, like a Fiverr think tank.
Yeah.
Oh, we should
those are
totally do a Fiverr think tank.
You know what we should do? Just make an entire comic book based on what you can do with Fiverr. Wouldn't that be great? Just like have one guy come up with the basic premise.
Well, and then all we'd have to do is just have a Fiverr that sells that comic book.
Yeah.
For $5. See what you can do on Fiverr.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I think people actually do that.
I think people are going to steal this idea.
I'll edit it out.
Okay.
So yeah, anyway, it's
a
sound
comic.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess explain that, because I think I have a loose concept of what it is, and I'm really jazzed about it.
Oh yeah, me too.
But can you, I guess, explain like the process that you went through to make the sound comic, and then how we can then enjoy it as a backer of the Kickstarter.
Right. Well, my main goal. Well, my main inspiration, like I said before, was JRPGs, and one thing that really stuck with me after playing the game, and a lot of people can agree with this, is the soundtrack. Like some people, right now, when you say what Final Fantasy song comes to mind when you think of Final Fantasy, the battle music and the triumph at the end and all that.
Yeah. That was my ringtone for a while.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Because you have this experience that it's difficult and it's challenging, and then at the end you hear that triumphant fanfare, and it's like, wow, that's going to stick with me forever now, because I relate it to my experience. So that's what we're kind of doing with DreamersEcho, is we're trying to give them an experience with a unique story, first of all, like a video game, but also a unique set of backing tracks that will hopefully stick with them. I'm working together with a few other music producers and musicians that I've gotten to know throughout life to come up with some really unique melodies that will ring true to stick with the experience of the comic. So we laid it out scene by scene. What does this scene feel like? It's a nightmare, so let's make the music intense. Let's make it scary. Let's make them think like, holy crap! It's kind of like you're stuck in a dream in Inception. So you're gonna have like the Inception sort of style.
Yeah.
But not totally like that. But I'm not stealing it.
It's actually just the Inception.
Yeah,
soundtrack.
we just completely just took the Inception soundtrack. There you go. Pay me, pay me for it. I no. It's totally original, which is good. But something similar to that, but in a nightmare setting that is in a JRPG universe, kind of.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so that's what the big goal is, to just create that atmosphere of, what does it feel like to be in the game? If this comic was a game, if I was playing it as a character, I would want that music to come out, and to support my actions and my triumphs. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to make. I've never done something this challenging before.
Yeah.
Having to lay out every scene, and it's like a storyboard, but
right.
with music that you're creating at the same time. It's
yeah. It'd be interesting then. I feel like it might make it easier to shop it to some movie places or something.
Yeah,
or to production houses.
Yeah. That's a thought.
I need to find some friends who make movies.
If you're listening, and you happen to be with a big movie studio, don't steal my work, first of all. Email me or something. We'll work something out.
Yeah, that'll be jetfalco@indiecomic.ninja.
Yeah. I mean, if you want me on your team, that's cool. Let's do it. Let's do it up.
Well, and I think the nice thing about what I've heard about comic books, I mean, because the whole comics being made into movies right now, is that like you already have the storyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think like I've heard that's a good argument for like why producers are so eager to make comic books into movies. Is just because it's kind of already it's easier maybe.
Right.
It's an argument I've heard.
And now it's even easier with Dreamers Echo because you got another big step.
Fewer people to pay because it's just you and whoever else already did it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, we're just building a case.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but I know I'm excited to hear that music. And you have samples on Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, we have one sample for Chapter 0. It's just a little snippet that happens within the first scene and the second scene of Chapter 0. So.
Okay, but I gave that a quick listen the other day, I think, and it felt very old RPG feeling to it. It was like immediately nostalgic for being new music, I suppose.
Yeah,
which was really nice.
Awesome. I'm glad.
And I enjoyed that.
Cool.
I guess we're done now.
Let's wrap it up.
I think like what I wanted to get into then is just you have a bit of a music background yourself, right?
A little bit.
You were in a band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it just the typical? Because I really don't know. Okay, wait. Let's lay some groundwork here.
Let's do it.
The first time I met you was at the Midwest Comic Con in 2015.
Yeah.
I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, that was my first con.
Actually. Okay. Yeah. And that was the first con where like I was like trying to build up a following for Indie Comic Ninja.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was supposed to become like a previews catalog for indie comics, but I found out quickly that is hard. There are a lot of comics, and that not a lot of people were really listening to me because I don't know, like just a lot of people didn't seem as interested as I was interested. And then I found out that another company, can't think of what they're called now. Alterna Comics. I think they have one. They have a thing called Make Mine Indie, which is basically a previews thing. Which I don't know. You should maybe could look into putting it in. I think it's a quarterly thing. So for anyone paying attention, Alterna Comics, just Google it. Google Make Mine Indie. You can find it there. But you can submit your comics to be. I think it's free. I'm not sure. Sorry if it's not. But
Nothing's free.
Yeah, but once I realized that somebody else is doing it and doing a pretty good job of it, this is a company that they've been publishing comics for kind of a while now, and they've had comics on bestseller lists, and somebody made a movie about one of their comics and whatever. So it was an indie film, but an indie comic should really be an indie film, in my opinion, unless you're famous. So anyway, so we met at the Midwest Comic Con in 2015, and right. I volunteered and I was showing people their tables.
I remember that. You were the first person I talked to when I walked in.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you gave me my wristband and everything.
I was supposed to be.
Yeah, doing your job.
And I sat you down and I asked you your name and I made fun of it.
It's fun. It's a funny name.
Because I immediately said Falco Punch.
That's one.
And then later I walked away and I was just like, I'm a jerk.
Actually, you're the first person to actually say that. And for some reason, when you said that, it caught on. Like random people just started saying it.
I introduced it to the universe. And it just kind of rippled.
Yeah. You were the epicenter of that.
It's nice being the epicenter of something. But anyway, then later the next day, because that would have been Friday, whatever. It doesn't matter. So later in time, I made my rounds and I was talking to people about this thing, and you didn't have a comic to sell, which really bummed me out because I really liked our interaction. And
I was the one guy who didn't have a book to sell. That was fun.
Yeah, well, and then ever since then, every time I saw you, I was like, "You have a book to sell yet?"
Nope.
And I know Tom. I saw Tom's interview of you, and he said the same thing.
Yep.
So don't watch Tom's interview of Jet. It's not good. It's actually great. You should go watch it.
It's pretty good. He's good. He's a good host.
He was, and we get to see some of the 3D.
Yeah, if you want a sneak peek of the 3D print,
cool.
That is on the top tier of the DreamersEcho Kickstarter,
which we'll get back to. So anyway, so I came around and I think you gave me like maybe a card or something, and then a CD. And I realized just now I've never listened to that CD.
Oh, no. Don't. Don't listen to it. That's why they were $1.
Well, and I remembered, too, like, as soon as you handed it to me, my instant reaction whenever anyone hands me music is it good? And I was just like, why did I just ask the person who made it, is it good? But I think your reaction was even of like...
I think I said no.
Yeah. And I thought you were joking, but then I wasn't sure. And then I got mixed into a pile of just stuff I kind of forgot about, so... I'll listen to it later.
I was just looking for space, looking for things to fill my empty table with.
Yeah, and I've done well. And then having a podcast, I've tabled twice at cons now, and the first time I went, I just had like all I had was stickers, so I just had like a pile of stickers.
Did you ever record at your table? I've seen a lot of people doing that nowadays.
I had this set up last time, but I didn't actually do any recording. It was just as a prop. I was just because then I was just like, I can fill my table with my mic. So.
There you go.
But no, I'm not sure if I'll ever table again. People aren't interested in talking to a podcaster about comics.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, and then I'm open to actually walking around and doing interviews.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully that's what I'll do next time.
That's cool.
I'm hoping to go to C2E2 next month.
Yeah, me too.
Or this month. It's April. We were just talking about this. It's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
My son's birthday is the 29th. It's this week before that, so whatever. 7 minus 9.
7 minus 9?
23rd.
Like -2.
Oh.
I don't know.
Math. Anyway, it's that Saturday before the last Saturday of the month.
Right.
Because I wanted to go to, what is it, down in Kansas City? Planet Comic-Con, but that's my son's birthday.
Oh, right.
And so then C2E2.
Oh, man.
Whatever. Anyway,
C2E2.
There's a lot more people there that I didn't realize that I wanted to meet, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's huge.
Back to my story was that you had a CD. So that's how I knew that you had a band of some sort at some time.
At one point I did, yes.
So back to the topic at hand, which is that you are a musician.
I dabble.
That was like a 10-minute tangent.
That was a good segue.
It was an amazing segue.
Keep people entertained. That's what we're all about here on Indie Comic Ninja.
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, I'm just trying to get conversations going with creators so that more creators can be all like, hey, I'm like that creator, and I can be a creator.
We're being welcoming. That's all it is.
Yeah, so...
so yeah, musician, that thing.
What do you play?
Sometimes it sounds like music.
Oh, so it's like, it's jazz.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I wish. See, the thing about jazz is it's too good.
It's modern jazz.
To be music. That to some people it doesn't sound like music. It sounds like noise. But I played guitar mostly. I did a little bit of keys, some percussion and drums on some tracks. But before that, I started as a solo singer-songwriter who just had an acoustic guitar. And I incorporated some looping pedal into that, so it kind of like made a modern one-man band sort of
not
thing.
so much a modern Andrew Bird, but just a rip-off Andrew Bird.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what we do. As us creators, we rip off and see where we can take it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm sure you were just as good as Andrew Bird.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway,
probably better.
Yeah. Well,
No.
usually if you're not making music anymore, you were better. It's just people just didn't get it.
Yeah, people just they didn't get it. But yeah, we actually, and then I had a band after that where I incorporated my singer-songwriter stuff with a bassist, an electric guitarist, like solo guy, and a drummer, and that lasted a pretty good while.
Nice.
We did some mini tours in the area. Went down to Kansas City for a show once. We went to the Mall of America for a show once. That was pretty wild. Yeah, so I've had my fair share of the band life. It's fun.
So I mean, has music, I guess, just like really stuck with you?
Yeah.
Is it something that you? I mean, obviously you enjoyed it to some degree, or was it something that you had to slog through because you just wanted to get it done for the comic?
Did it for girls, Oh. Doesn't anyone?
That's what Gene Simmons did it for.
Yeah.
And he got his goal.
He did, yes. But mainly I just did it because, I don't know, I comic making was the first big thing in my life. When I was a kid, I made comics all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, just some fanfic stuff. It was fun. I was the only kid in the creative writing class drawing a comic where Sonic the Hedgehog was racing Mario before it even happened in real life. Like that was my thought beforehand.
In real life?
Yeah. Well,
have you seen them?
I mean, like in the games nowadays, they're like hanging out all the time, you know.
Okay.
But
good. I was worried there.
But I would be. yeah. I see all sorts of things, not just that. Yeah.
So anyway,
but yeah, back on track here.
But like, so I guess what was it that made you want to do the music with, or the sound comic?
Right.
Was it like a nostalgia for being in the band, or was it just like wanting to really fill in that JRPG feel?
Well, like I said, comics was the main thing in my goal. The main goal in my life was to be a comic creator, to bring out my story. But I couldn't do that because back then in the 90s and the early 2000s, we didn't have the resources available to do such things. Like the computers are amazing these days. You can do anything. And I have like a drawing tablet that I don't even need paper these days. But back then I did have the resources to do music. So that was kind of like my aside. I just did music until technology got better and I could do comics. But ever since then, music has been like a very close passion of mine. I can't give it up for some reason. It just it sticks with you. It's a great way to tell your story so that enough people, find it relatable.
Yeah. Well, I know with me, I was in a band in high school and marching band and stuff like that. Marching band was not my band in high school. I was in a rock band. Anyway.
Well, there are some kids who say that marching band is a band. They still get girls too. I don't know how that works.
I don't. That was not my school. But anyway, and so I to this day, because I haven't been in a band in I'm gonna say 10, 15 years. I don't know how old I am. Over 10 years. But like to this day, I can't go to like a local show or even like a big concert without like really feeling like this weird nostalgia and then being mildly depressed.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, I wish I was in a band still, but like I was never good and I don't have the time, so comics is kind of more my passion, I suppose.
There you go. Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Whenever I went to a show, I was like, I need to go home and I need to keep myself from getting depressed. I need to write music or something.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's a lot of fun being up on stage, and I think like I've always been good at like lying. Like I'm a horrible liar unless I know that you know that I'm lying.
Yeah.
And then you're acting. Realize what that is. And so like that was my second
You're
major.
like a team liar.
Yeah. It was my second major in college.
Was
acting.
lying.
Yeah. Well, actually,
was lying. Yeah.
Lying. After accounting, which made lots of sense.
Yeah,
but
there are professions for those two put together. I think they're called bankers and
I was gonna say politicians.
Politicians. There you go.
I tried banking, like I said earlier.
Oh yeah.
No, well, you can't really lie when you're a teller. You have to be a better.
Oh
banker.
right, I see.
But yeah. So anyway, I know for me, I guess like there's a bit of an overlay. Whatever it maybe bridges that gap a little bit, getting into the comics and telling stories, which I've never had like a published comic in any way, in any fashion. I did have like my story on 515 Comics for a little while, like as a written thing. It's not there now. I can tell you about it later.
Okay.
But like just getting like that little bit of feedback that I got then, and even just now, like when I do tell people about my story, like it's like you're on like your own little mini stage, I suppose, and it kind of has a similar vibe and feeling. And so I think maybe then getting back and focus on you, I was wondering if, maybe having the comic, having the web, because this comic is a web comic.
Yeah.
Just in case we didn't say that yet.
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay. Yeah. So having that webcomic and going to cons, like you're kind of you've built a bit of a platform for yourself, and so I'm sure you get some feedback. I at least retweet your stuff sometimes. Yeah,
that's all. Yeah, I appreciate that, by the way.
You do the same for me. But I mean, I guess I was wondering if that really kind of reminded you of the feeling of being in a band.
Totally. I mean, the whole world the stage. That's an old saying that still rings true no matter what profession you do. People are watching. That's a thing. Like with this Kickstarter, for sure.
Oh yeah. You did a good job with the Kickstarter, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, it was so much work that I didn't realize that people are watching that. Like people are paying attention. So with that transition from music to comics, the stage is there, definitely. The page, it rhymes, stage page. Pretty much the same thing. There you go.
It's a stage page.
It's a stage page. So when you write your story, you're sharing your song. You know, it feels very similar, but you're just giving the audience a little more to go on.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you write music?
Yeah.
Like original lyrics and stuff?
Nice. I did, yeah.
So I
still do, actually.
Oh.
For the comic.
Are there lyrics to...
I haven't really revealed this, but there's going to be...
exclusive.
This is exclusive.
Here.
With Indie Comic Ninja. With the last track or so, I think we're planning kind of, you know how when you watch an anime or you play a JRPG, there's that last song that has a little bit of lyrics. We're going to do that. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be my voice or some more heavenly lady voice, because I don't know if my voice would fit with DreamersEcho very well. I was more of like a rocker, like yourself, back then. So.
You could be like a good voice for like one of the bigger characters.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I don't know why he'd be singing. You do maybe like a bit of a Shatner, like just spoken word song.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Well, we do have something like that.
Oh, okay.
With a little bit of spoken word, but I don't think it's going to be in this song.
Okay.
But this song is going to be like the ending credits after an anime, after a JRPG with lyrics.
Okay.
So we're going to have a little bit of that in there too. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nice. Yeah. Well, I was trying to think before getting really into the Kickstarter type stuff, if there was anything else I wanted to ask you about. You brought up, I guess, doing fan fiction as a kid.
Yeah.
So then, like, were you? I assume you must have been reading comics in order to actually know what a comic is.
Yeah.
So then, like, what are the comics that you grew up on? This is basically me trying to really gauge your age.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. You can learn a lot from what they read as a kid.
Yeah, because I know for me, like, I didn't read a ton of comics as a kid. I'll let you think about it while I talk.
Okay.
But I read Aladdin.
Yes.
I had, like, I think it was like 3 issues. It was basically just the second. It was Aladdin 2.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it came in a bundle. I mean, there were 3 separate issues, but they're like in this like plastic.
The plastic,
thing.
Yeah.
And I think like
they still do.
I got them
actually.
at Walmart. They do.
Yeah, they still bundle comics in plastic at Walmart. I don't know. Nobody buys them.
I'm gonna be going and buying some comics at Walmart just see what I can get.
There you go.
Because I got that, and then I got X-Men 2099.
Oh. I still have issues of that.
I did not like it. Because I bought it. Okay, I was a little kid.
Well, yeah.
And I was just like, oh, X-Men. I get it. I'm like, where's Wolverine?
But
where's Professor X?
But it's not X-Men at the same time.
It's like, this isn't X-Men. Yeah. And it was just like these concepts that like this 9-year-old Dexter just did not get. It was just like, are they in a dance club? I think that first issue they're in like a nightclub or something.
I think so, yeah.
And then like somebody dies. And I'm just like, why did I invest this 3 pages on this character when he's just gonna die? This is so dumb.
That's traumatic. It
was a little traumatic.
For a child, yeah.
Yeah, and then I had the clone or the one where Ben Riley, Spider-Man clone Ben Riley dies. There's like a short series.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I think the Hobgoblin or Green Goblin kills him. I'm not sure. And he just turns to dust.
Yeah,
I didn't like that series.
The visuals back then in the 80s and 90s for comics were just so much more dark than what you see these days in comics. I thought. You
think so?
Well, when I was a kid, I don't if. You're ready for me to answer this question.
Yeah, go.
Let's do it.
That was all I had.
Let's jump right in.
So, what were the comics you read as a kid?
When I was a kid, I read something that today, if you were to read today, it's completely different. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
In the 80s and 90s was just like blood.
Like the original indie comic, really.
Yeah, it was all black and white and blood and guts everywhere.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
And I heard that they had a really, or like the 2 creators, which I can never remember, like Kevin Eastman and the other guy. But like they were really upset with when it got turned into a cartoon because they had to like really clean it up, and the Foot Clan got turned into robots.
There's so much they changed that. But when I was a kid, that was just the first thing. I went to this rundown little used bookstore in the mall and found some of those, and those were my first comics. That and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I said, I mean,
I don't think I realized they had Sonic comics back then.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's still going on. I think it is. But
Sonic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's
Archie.
It's IDW. Oh, is it Archie?
Yeah, I think Archie still owns it, but yeah, I loved it. It was like my big ones were the Sonic and Ninja Turtles, but Sometimes I dived into the Star Wars stuff, but that was...
Oh, that's back when Marvel still had it, too.
Yeah, I think
Before
so.
Dark Horse had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I did some of the Dark Horse, too, growing up. But
Oh, yeah, it is Archie.
Oh, cool.
Good call.
Nice. I should know I made fanfics based on But, I mean, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, was a really big one for me just because I was a kid and it was a game I loved.
Was it anything like the game?
No. It was more like the TV cartoon. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They had a cartoon Saturday morning.
What was that? I just saw the theme, like the intro, like last week.
The Blue Streak speeds by Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
that one? Yeah.
Well, and the reason why I watched it was I don't know, I forget who it is. Some YouTube channel. They make scientifically accurate versions of things.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen
I remember that.
It's basically like, apparently like hedgehogs like to find poop and just smear it on themselves. And the scientists don't know why.
Maybe it's a self-defense thing.
And if Tails was real, he would just eat Sonic.
Yep. Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway.
Those are always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Learning the real truths behind all the stories.
Anyway, that video though was to the tune of the Sonic intro song.
Yeah.
Which is, anyway, whatever. So yeah, you read. I don't know if I've ever actually met anyone who legitimately watched or read the Ninja Turtles comics, because I've always known it was a comic. Maybe not always. I actually just found out.
Well, I was a kid.
Not
I don't
long.
remember most of it. Just the blood stuck out, and it was very violent.
Yeah. Is the blood colored or?
I don't remember actually. I just remember it being everywhere.
It was black and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read about how they got started, which is really interesting because they. It was completely like underground indie comic apparently, and they went to Kinko's and made copies.
Yep.
And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just like the way that they did it, you could never do that these days. I don't feel like you could.
Yeah,
Maybe you'd have to be really lucky.
Social media has just kind of overexposed everything, so it's kind of hard to get a start like that. But that was good timing on their part for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But just Sonic and Ninja Turtles. I guess then...
I'm trying to think if there's anything... Well, yeah.
The next question then is, what do you read now? Or are you still reading... Because I know... It seems like a lot of creators don't read a lot of comics.
I tried. One of the other big ones that stuck with me, I just thought of this right now, was Superman and Batman. And I watched, like any other normal kid, and X-Men, like yourself.
The cartoons?
The cartoons and the comics.
Oh, okay.
And... Definitely the X-Men cartoon was amazing.
Yeah. I have the entire DVD set.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But, I read a lot of my first Batman comic was the Nightfall, where he gets his back broken.
Well, yeah.
And then the other Batman comes in and takes his place. It's
Nightwing that takes his place.
But then after that, there's like a really... Do you remember the big mechanical-looking Batman guy? I think it was Azrael. Before he becomes Azrael, he becomes Batman for a while. It's Jean-Paul Valley or something like that. But that was really dark and traumatic for a little kid to read as well.
Yeah, I remember my brother had that comic, and I was really into it.
Yeah,
it was a good comic.
It was dark, but I liked it, and I still kind of read some of the DC and Marvel stuff these days. Mm-hmm. Not so much anymore, just because I've become a creator, and like you said, you don't have a lot of time making your own universe to pay attention to so many other universes. So, but I still do read a lot of indie ones, like ones that really, or alternative publishers besides the big two.
Right.
Like a few that I really loved in the past few years have been Michael Turner's Soulfire. That's a huge one I picked up when I was in high school, and I just stuck with it, and it's just a great adventure comic with magic and dragons, and it's set in the future as well, so it's kind of a genre bender, and I love it. And it came back this year, which is even better.
Who publishes it? I've never heard of
Aspen. Okay. Aspen Comics. They're not as big as but luckily you can still find them in comic book shops, which is awesome. But
kind of looks Dungeons and Dragons-y.
Yeah, it kind of is. Just kind of set in the future.
Some fairy action going.
Right. It's intense. There's a little bit of everything in that. Mm-hmm. So I paid attention a lot to that as I was growing up. And then when I hit my older years, I started creating or diving more into DreamersEcho's creation. Mm-hmm. I paid attention to more Image comics. Like my favorite Image comic so far has been Monstrous. It's not terribly popular, but it's another great adventure comic. Mm-hmm. And let's see what else. I know there's another one I've been reading, but I can't remember.
That's how all my comics are that I read.
Just kind of turns into a big blur.
Probably one that I'm reading.
But yeah, I mean, if it's an adventure comic, I mean, I appreciate the superhero stuff. It's everywhere, but you kind of get tired of it after a while. Mm-hmm. So I dive into the more independent adventure comics mostly these days.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, something you said made me think of a question,
sure.
And then I lost it, so whatever. So we can, I guess, talk maybe more about your Kickstarter.
All right.
Dive back into that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as a Kickstarter is wont to have, you have tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Not sad tears.
No, happy tears.
You are funded.
Happy tears. Definitely happy tears.
And well, I thought it was funny that you said that with this Kickstarter, you've noticed that people are paying attention to your stage, and I thought it was funny because
weird.
I was randomly one of my hobbies is when I know something's coming, I just randomly check on it constantly.
Uh-huh.
And I think
it's a good hobby to have. You know, to stay updated.
Well, and you said that you're going to be posting DreamersEcho at the beginning of the last month, I think. And so, I was just kind of, looking for it, a day early for some reason. And, and I think you must have posted it a day early.
Did. Yeah, and you were the first backer.
Immediately.
That was awesome.
So, I like to pride myself that I was the first backer on something. And it's something pretty cool, so...
I actually took the day off work to post it on March 1st. But then I was like, everything's ready the night before. I was like, why not just post it now? And so, the next day, I can just just watch it, see what happens for day one, the entire day. Instead of just posting it when I wake up or whatever. So, and then you were there out of nowhere, completely surprised me. You teleported it in and you just threw your money at me. And I'm like, okay, yes, this is real. This is happening.
Yeah. I should just get one of those shirts with just Fry on it with him throwing them.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too.
Take my money.
I don't think it was... Oh no, it was last month though. There's a bunch of Kickstarters that I kickstarted. Yeah. And it's becoming a problem with my
I
budget.
think they actually plan that because it's tax season.
Yeah.
So people have extra money.
I know it's a good time. And you can get down to statistics of what are better days too. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays, or it's good to start on a Thursday and end on a Tuesday. No, start on a Tuesday and end on a Thursday or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. I noticed that people definitely give a lot more money around payday, like you said. Yeah. Thursday, the day before. But then that's the thing with Kickstarters. You don't need to pay until it's over. So
but that's just when money's on the mind, I suppose.
A lot of people don't know that though.
Well, and then what you'd think that leading into Christmas would be a good time.
Yeah.
But people don't want to back things because you're not going to get your thing by Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so then it's better to start it right after Christmas when people again just got a bunch of Christmas money.
Yeah.
Just to give out some Kickstarter tips while we're at it.
Yeah, it's a Kickstarter panel. This is where you go for all the Q&A Kickstarter wise.
Yeah, this episode is the best source for Kickstarter. But anyway, yeah. So you have, I think Tom was your second guy, wasn't he?
Yep.
Or he was at least one of the first four.
He was right after you.
It's because I tweeted about it.
Yeah, and he saw that.
And then he must have seen it because
exactly.
he and I apparently just are Twitter friends.
Apparently.
It sounded weird. But yeah, anyway, so at first you had a black and white cover on there, and you posted the color one a couple weeks ago, and it looks nice. Did you color it?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say.
See, I do like I say usually in these interviews is DreamersEcho is a one-man gig, except for coloring. I cannot do it. It just I don't have the patience for it, and I don't have the hand. The coloring you need to know where. I don't know. It's just I can't.
Would you say you have the eye for it at all? Or?
I have the eye for it, but not the hand. It's weird.
Yeah.
I can picture it, and then I'll tell someone, hey, here's some money. Can you color it for me?
Just draw the numbers in.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how it went.
I guess. I mean, that reminds me, I guess, of a different question, and then we can really get into the Kickstarter.
Yeah, sure.
But it's on the topic of coloring. What is, I guess, your whole background? I mean. Did you go to college for any sort of design or anything like that?
Kind of, yeah. I took a few college classes relating to the arts and all that, and a few graphic design classes. Okay. So I've got, I've dipped my toes in a little bit.
Okay, but it's not I mean, I guess you've been making.
But it's not a major.
Yeah, but you've been making comics, I guess, ever since you were a kid.
Yeah.
So there's more the real life background, I suppose. But I mean. And that just made me curious about the whole the coloring thing, since it's not something that you it's something that you've learned as you've gone. I guess there are just like certain aspects of it you just don't have to focus on because you don't
Right.
either don't want to or you don't have to, and that's fine because
Totally.
you make a nice comic anyway. It doesn't
Thank
matter.
you. Yeah. Yeah, I figured since I'm not going to be able to find the time or energy or mind or hand to make the colors, I might as well make it some sort of, have it make it have some sort of depth to it. So I took that little bit of time I could get that I would spend wasting on terrible coloring and I applied it towards shading. So I just kind of gave it like a 3D feel shading wise. And that's one thing I did with pretty much all comics growing up was do the shading and not the coloring. So so that stuck with me.
Well, and generally too, I noticed that you use a lot of like with. So you know what I'm looking at. I'll adjust my computer for the people listening.
So they can see it too as well.
Well, yeah, it's facing the microphone, so you should be able to see it. But just like on these covers on your website, you have very ornate, detailed... Are these photos or... No?
It's like a frame, that sort of thing.
Did you? But is that a picture or something, or did you...
It's actually like 7 different frames that I picked and choose little parts of to put together to make my own look like a unique sort of thing.
Yeah, and which I mean, this is the cover; it's not the comic itself.
Right.
But so you're very good at like layering.
Just a bunch of layers
to kind of get like a really nice feel and look to it, and it's kind of getting into that steampunk feel, which the comic itself has a huge steampunk feel in general.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
You can use the arrows on your.
I was wondering how to turn the page, but I was trying to look at a real page. But yeah, so you do a good job of shading and giving depth and really, I guess, to get back into just talking about the comic in general, and just away from that Kickstarter that we were starting to talk about.
We're bouncing back and forth. It's cool.
Like a big feel of the comic is very anime, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, which maybe comes natural from being based on JRPGs, and so you kind of go in and out of different styles that I've noticed. I've not been that big into anime myself. I was one of those kids who just watched Dragon Ball Z and was happy with it.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
satisfies.
This last week our weekend. It's a Monday.
Did you see Dragon Ball Super, the new stuff?
No, I haven't. No, but I had a friend. My friend Matt had me over to his house and we watched Fooly Cooly.
Ooh, that's a classic.
I've never seen it. I didn't even know it was how old it was.
And you love music too. You were a musician. That's a big music anime.
Yeah.
So great.
It was but it was just kind of funny because like we were watching, like, so it just kind of goes in and out of different styles.
Yeah. It's wild.
Like that's just how anime works.
Sometimes.
Yeah, which I mean you kind of do because like the page we're looking at here, like the guys had. I don't know who this character is. Yeah,
it's Falco. His face is kind of juxtaposed onto the moon,
and his hands are just kind of floating.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a hallucination. Like this character Roz is kind of angry in the scene, and she's seeing her anger is kind of reflecting on little visions that she's seeing in the sky, and it's totally just because she's pissed off at these guys. And when you're pissed off at someone, you see their face everywhere, and you're just like you want to punch it. But in this, like you said, the styles they jump around a lot, especially I've noticed with comedic scenes like this one right here. This is page 1 of chapter 2.
You've noticed with your own styles.
Yeah, and all anime in general.
Yeah.
It's like comedic styles really differ from the serious stuff.
Yeah. Which I think lends well to it being like then I guess it's a comedy scene, I suppose.
Makes it a little easier to understand.
Yeah, which I think maybe even your comic kind of being the first real like anime comic manga style comic I've ever read, which I don't even know if it's manga style.
It's kind of like in between.
You're taking, I guess that's. I mean, and that's what I was getting into. Like, you're taking a lot of tips from both manga. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got
it. From both, manga and the more traditional American comic books, which is fun and neat, and then tying that back into the Kickstarter. When you're printing it now, it's not the size of either of those comics. It's more of an in-between size.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 6x9, which is like the manga ones are 5x8, I think.
6x8. Yeah.
So it's like really small, like handheld thing you can just throw in your bag. But the comics are like 6.5x10. They're a little bigger. Yeah. So we just went kind of with a happy medium.
Yeah. And I think that it sounds like from what I'm envisioning. That's a pretty good size. Yeah. I mean, it's still bigger than a normal book, but
I hope it kind of makes it stand out a little bit more from the typical manga and comic and even magazine. So it's a little different.
Right. How thick is it going to be?
Let's say half an inch, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna have a good deal of extra content in the back.
It's still a pretty serious graphic novel.
Yeah.
Then really, how many pages?
At least it's like 108.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if you are interested in this Kickstarter, head over to. Actually, I'll do a forward link because Kickstarter doesn't give you like a pretty looking URL.
Actually, I thought that for the longest time until last week. If you go down to share, and then go to embed, and then there's the pretty link on the bottom. As soon as you can move that, I don't know. There we go. There it is.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not too pretty though.
I know it's not a. It's like one of those Bitly or Google shorteners.
Yeah.
But it's as pretty as it gets, I guess.
Well, so, okay. I mean, you can either then head over to Kickstarter and search for it. It's DreamersEcho, all one word. Or just go to indiecomic.ninja/DreamersEcho. Or, DreamersEcho.
Cool.
So, I'll do that. I need to set that up. But it'll be there when this is out. So,
nice.
Hopefully make it a little easier for people to be able to find your Kickstarter.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so I guess if you head over to the Kickstarter, you can find out that it's already funded, so that's nice.
Yes,
so
big load off my back.
It's nice for you, I mean, just in general, but even, I guess as a backer, if you back now, you know you'll get it. It's not like
it's guaranteed.
A sad, depressing thing.
Right.
If it doesn't fund.
And that was always a thought that was looming over my head, like, for the longest time, we were just stuck at like $150.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks. Then out of nowhere, bam, 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 we got these big contributors came out of nowhere and surprised me, and I was like, okay, it's a reality. We can actually do this.
Well, and then like I feel like right at the end too, when it actually hit fully funded, like that kind of happened again. Like it was just like suddenly, like it kind of seemed like, okay, like this seems doable. It'll probably be another week or so. I mean, because I think at that time you still had 3 weeks left, maybe.
Exactly.
And it's just like 3 weeks, like that's a comfortable amount of money to raise in 3 weeks. I think it'll happen. And then all of a sudden, like the next day, I see you're like tweeting, like, "We did it!
We did it!" I know. It was like exactly 3 weeks, like you said.
Yeah.
And I was just stuck on that halfway point. I was like, "Come on, guys, we can do it!" I drew a picture of one of my characters doing the Rosie the Riveter, "We can do it" thing, and
those are cool too. I like.
Well, thank you. I mean, I was trying to get those people, it's a call to action sort of thing, and then out of nowhere. Well, before that, I was gritting it all out, playing it all out with an Excel sheet. I put a lot of work into this Excel sheet, saying like, if we make as much as we made in that past 3 or so weeks, in this next 3 or so weeks, we can do it.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit like if one person gave $30 a day, I planned it out exactly day by day, and then the next day, it hit the goal, and I was like, all that work for nothing. Yeah, but it's all right.
And you made a funny video too about it. Because you're like, I was going to make this video. It was all ready to go. Like, we're halfway, but now we're halfway and halfway to halfway.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that was funny. I'm glad that these guys, whoever all these backers were able to surprise you like that. That's really awesome.
Seriously, guys, a huge thank you out to, if you've backed it so far. You guys are my heroes.
It's only 25 people. Oh. 25 people can raise $1,200. I didn't know that.
Anything's possible. Now I'm just fearing for volume 2. Can they do it again?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got this experience, and
if you're a good writer.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm a so-so writer. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
people seem to like it.
I like it. It's good. I mean, that's why I was so excited and was the first backer. But yeah, so you have a bunch of tiers here. I mean, you can even go for just $1 and get
your name in the book.
A good old thank you. Oh, the name is in the book? Okay. Well,
totally.
That's good. It doesn't say that.
It's like a
special
thanks credit.
Special thanks credit.
Yeah, so you have your own section. I've made the special thanks credits out, so each tier gets their own section. And the more you give, the prettier your name will look.
So people know how much I gave.
Yeah. Oh. No, we'll use discretion. That'll be cool.
Okay, good.
But
there's we're embarrassingly large amount of money.
So we're still looking for like the lowest tier. So if you're willing to throw even just $1 on the Kickstarter, you'll get your name in the book, which is kind of awesome. Like I would do that. That's pretty sweet. So
and then there's a digital tier. 25. What does 25 get you?
That gives you the physical and the digital with the thank you note.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then it goes up to $50. Gets you like some posters and bookmarks and stickers.
Some goodie merch.
Stickers.
Yeah.
All the way up to $75. You get more books, basically. $100. A lot. Basically, to have everything.
Yeah, that's the... if you're with a friend and you want to go in with a friend, that's the plan right there.
Okay.
And then you get a few extra goodies there.
Is there one where you take me out to eat?
There is, actually.
Oh, wait,
the top tier with one of the... it's under YouTube collaboration or Skype session.
Oh, okay.
And in the Kickstarter surveys we're going to send out once it's over, it's going to say, if you're in my town, because a lot of the backers are in my town, in my area.
You only have 2 left out of 5.
We're running out of those guys, so get on that. But if you wanted, we could find an alternative thing, because a lot of people don't have Skype or they don't want to be on YouTube. So I want to just, open the options out for everyone.
So what would that YouTube collaboration Skype session be, I guess? Just whatever I want it to be?
Yeah, pretty much.
I could just interview you again?
If you wanted, we could do like a before and after sort of thing. Okay. But you're getting all the information now. So
Yeah. Gotta milk this a little bit. No.
Yeah. But I've had some people actually throw some ideas of skits that they could do with, or they could just script something out for me to read for them on a video. Like pretty much anything you guys want, as long as it's not an age restricted sort of thing. We're gonna keep this family friendly, people.
Good.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to think. We're hitting the 55-minute mark in a couple seconds here. So, I guess we talked about the Kickstarter. It's a sound comic. Mm-hmm. We've hit the goal, so back it now.
Feels good.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Talking about comics, which is good.
Yeah. Kickstarting comics?
Yes. I mean, I guess maybe something to really wrap this up with is you've been doing this, at least actively, this comic, doing it as a webcomic since 2015.
Yeah, pretty much.
That would have been November when I met you, so I don't know how much you had out at that point.
Yeah, that was just the big chapter 0, which is the biggest chapter. Mm-hmm. But that since November, December of 2015 to now, it's like been a year and a half, pretty much.
Okay, and you have a successful Kickstarter, you have 100 some pages of comic. Mm-hmm. Like, do you have, I guess, what's one thing that you would have done differently?
That's a good question.
I guess moving forward, what will you do differently?
What will I do differently? Well, working on the comic for this long, it's been like 90% work and then like 10% like reaction from people. And I've learned that with a Kickstarter, a lot of that 10% reaction comes in that month or so that you're kickstarting. Because in that year of building the comic up, I was in suspense a lot of the time because you don't have a lot of affirmation to make sure, like, are people actually going to fund this once it's ready? A lot of people weren't saying anything, but you and like Tom and other people were, and you guys were retweeting my stuff, and that was really cool. It was keeping me going. You guys were my strength. Good. But what I'm saying is, like, working on the Kickstarter for that 90% of the work, and I mean working on the comic for that 90% of my strength and blood, sweat, and tears, as they say. And then coming to the Kickstarter was a really big test, true test of my skill and my presence and just about everything that a comic maker can, put it all on the line for. Yeah. So that transition from the 90% work and the 10% reaction completely flipped. Okay. Because when you start a Kickstarter, it's like you can take a step back from making the comic if you need, just to focus all your energy onto promoting and marketing, getting the word out, and just making sure you can have the backers and find backers. And I can't even count how many times I've just printed flyers and just thrown them at people. But it worked. I've got a few of them to contribute. Nice. But so when that 10% flipped and became 90% reaction and 10% work, it was like, wow, this is what we do it for. This is what comicking is all about. People reacting to your story, right, and your ideas, and putting them together into physical merchandise that you can give to them. So my thing I would do differently taking from that is to make sure that there's more of a... Well, actually, I don't know if I would do it differently because it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction phase is dipping more into that 90% work. So it's like integrating itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like 100%, as long as it's weaved together, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Or 50-50. So it feels like as long as I can market myself out there and get the word out and let them know that, it's a physical book this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll have a con table where I can actually sell something worthwhile. I would just make it easier for them, I guess you could say. I don't know. It's a hard transition from that whole 90-10 sort of thing.
Yeah. I get that.
So it feels better this time. I'm feeling more confident. I've learned a lot with this Kickstarter experience, and it feels like Volume 2, once it kickstarts, and I'm gonna say next year or the year after or mid-year next year.
Nice.
If all goes well with that work side.
Right.
Because Volume 2 is going to be a lot bigger. Just a little, just throwing that out there.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing is, we'll have a lot of the exposure already there, so it feels like I've finally built that foundation where this comic can just be sent out to people, and the fans will have something that they can hold and react to, and hopefully the music they'll react to as well. So
yeah.
My big goal with Volume 2 is to also have a soundtrack for pretty much every volume.
Oh, nice.
That's one of the big goals. So
yeah, be interesting to see how that advances. I guess if it changes at all.
Yeah.
Like just the way that you make the music, or if it's gonna be different anyway. That's interesting.
And speaking from experience, when I was a musician, definitely every album you release after another, it only gets better.
Right.
As long as you have a clean mindset within, you're open to new ideas, and you don't get stuck in that rut like some bands do and some musicians do. That's pretty much what we're going to do with the comic too.
Nice.
Just keep evolving.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have an end, I guess, to the comic?
Yes, there is an end to the story, but not, or an end to the book.
Right.
There is an end to the book, but not to the story.
Good. So it's not going to end with everyone dying, essentially. Oh,
wait, you gave away the ending. No.
Wait, that doesn't make sense.
Everyone already died. You already saw it.
Yeah.
Tip of the iceberg, Chapter 0. Boom. We're all dead.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
It's interesting.
Right? There is an end to the story that closes everything up to give the reader like that good feeling like, wow, I rode through that whole adventure and saw it to the end, and it's a good ending. It feels great.
Do you know how many volumes it's going to end up being? Or?
The target is about I'm between 7 or 8 volumes.
Oh,
right
dang!
now. Yeah. But
so are you trying to?
We'll see.
Are you trying to hit like one every couple of years now, or?
That is the goal.
Because that's going to be a long story.
Yes, it's a very long major story arc that happens over the course of about 50 or so chapters.
Okay.
So it's going to last a while, but it's it's my life's work. I've been working on it since I was in 7th or 8th grade, and it's something that I know from end to end, and then I know beyond that we're going to see where it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I think that's good because we are over an hour now. So I like to always ask people, where can we go to help make you internet famous?
Ooh, definitely DreamersEcho.com if you want to read the comic for free, or the Kickstarter. It's on there, the link on the front page.
Oh yeah, of course.
And also for the more social readers, we're on Tapastic as well. So tapastic.com/JetFalco.
All right.
Yeah.
And then on Twitter?
Yes. So Twitter is @TheJetFalco. Facebook is just Jet Falco.
Is there like a Jet Falco?
I think there is now. There wasn't when I started, but there is now, and they came out of nowhere, and it's weird. I don't know what's going on.
It'd be funny if it was me. It's not.
People are stealing my identity.
Yeah, you should watch out.
Yeah. No, seriously, the day I launched the Kickstarter, my Instagram got hacked.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I was like, how does that happen?
So do you have an Instagram?
I do.
Oh,
yeah, it's just Jet Falco.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook, you have a Jet Falco page. So it's
yes.
kind of like your artist page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.